parents that will indicate any drop off, so that parents are familiar with that. What is the strategy for a possible asymptomatic person or person? If we know that somebody could possibly have it, we would follow the same protocol as before. If somebody says there's a possibility, I would contact the health department and we would go through the steps. They would ask a number of questions, and we would follow the same strategic strategies as we would for somebody that's showing symptoms. Unfortunately, with asymptomatic, it's really hard to determine unless somebody has gone for a test. And if somebody has gone for a test, then they really should not be in the building, because they do give guidance that you should stay home for a certain amount of time. Currently, our school hours, we start at 8 a.m. And end at 3, but we do have the before school cares and after school cares. For before school cares, the kids would get dropped off at either the lower church or the school building, and they would go directly to their classroom for that. And after school cares would start immediately after the last bus and car rider leaves, and then they would move to the space for cares. And we are exploring various options for that. After school cares ends at 5:45 Monday through Thursday, and 5:30 on Friday. Each class will have a designated set of doors that they will use for exiting the building for recess or moving outside for any particular reason. For example, 1st and 2nd grade would utilize the doors down by the library. 5th grade, 6th grade would utilize the doors down by the 5th grade classroom, just so that we can take some pressure off of all of the doors and would allow us time for cleaning in between, especially those high touch areas. For our social distancing, single file, 6 feet apart, we do have our signage. We are going to be making a left and right side of the hallway. And we will have the students with footprints, arrows, knowing which way, which direction. We are increasing the cleaning in the building throughout the day. For lunches, they'll wash, sanitize their hands before lunch. Desks will be cleaned before students eat. Students will eat lunch in their classroom, and students will not be allowed to share food. We are concerned with the increased level of cleaning and the exposure of the kids to the cleaning chemicals. We are taking all of our products are off of the list that the CDC recommends for schools. With that, a lot of the cleaning is going to be those high touch areas in the hallway, so the door handles. We will make sure that any space that is cleaned is dry before a student sits down at it. Because we don't, especially with the younger kids, we do not want them putting their hands in it and then putting it in their mouths, putting their hands in their mouths. So we are taking those precautions. Hot lunch. NDS, and I do have this on there, NDS is going to continue this year. They have already made many changes to their program, so that most of it was already prepackaged to begin with, but they are eliminating things that are not pre-wrapped, so that they are not being handled. So we are awaiting more details from them. The things that I have on this slide that outline the NDS are the things that we know so far. But our wonderful women who do the lunch program, they are in contact with NDS. They are working with NDS to know what those safety precautions are. So, and once we have from NDS their protocol, and we know that, we will be able to communicate that with families. But yes, our intentions and NDS's intentions are for the school meals to still be provided. On another note, they are also trying to figure out a plan for families who are choosing the virtual option so that they can have those meals available to them. And once we know how that is going to work, I will communicate that with families who are choosing that virtual option so that there's a plan in place for that. But they are also making those plans as we speak. Okay, do families have a deadline to choose virtual so they can communicate what the class she will be? There's a soft deadline for there's a soft deadline for the virtual, and when I send out the information tomorrow, I'll resend the Google form for families to make that decision, and then I will communicate with families. This is how many are choosing virtual versus in person. In that case, the students that are choosing virtual, so that we are able to extend the sizing between desks even more than what is recommended, we will move and rearrange the furniture so that we can spread everybody out. So, and we have already started doing that with some of the classes that we have gotten, so that we can start looking at that. So I will provide that deadline tomorrow in the information when I send all this stuff out. But do know that if you all of a sudden change your mind, you can always communicate that with us. Recess. I'm going to talk about the desk. I think after this slide. Let me get through the recess. We are working on creating our toy bins. I have asked a handful of students for their input on what they would like to see in those toy bins. Some extra things that they would like to see painted on the sidewalk and blacktop for activities to do at recess. We will be zoning off the areas so that classes will have zones. We will be taking and I lost my train of thought. Sanitizing equipment after use. Each class will have its own bin, and we will be utilizing the baseball field along with the playground equipment. We do have the equipment to sanitize that after each use. And so there will be a rotation so that we can take and have students each have a turn in those zones. So classroom operations. If you read through the Catholic Schools ONWART document, the link that was sent out back in end of June, beginning of July, in their guidance from the Archdiocese, it says desks will be arranged with at least 6 feet distancing from center of one desk to the center of the next desk, all facing the same way. So we are going 6 feet or more, but each desk will also have a desk guard. So, and I don't think I couldn't get the picture of the desk guard to come up. The picture that you see down, it's in looking at my screen, it is in the left corner. That is one of the table partitions that Mrs. S has been working on for the pre-K classes, so that we are able to have the students have a partition between them that allows them to still see. So they will have table dividers, but they will have, but the classrooms that have desks will have their own individual desk guard that will go along the front and the 2 sides of the desk to also allow additional protection. Students will also have their own materials in their desk. The kindergarten classrooms have always used desk. All right, I know there's some virtual things, and now we're into the virtual, which is a lot of information. So, Ability Family, I will reach out to you in regards to your question and talk to you about that. So I will make a note to reach out to you. We are not, we do not have the hybrid per se, but I will talk to families to see what in mind they're thinking. All assignments will, if virtual, will all assignments be placed in Google Classroom. Google Classroom is going to be our learning management platform. That is where it will be the central location for all the student materials, lessons, instructions, assessments, feedback, and communication.